Well, it turns out I may have been wrong about Masters of the Universe. I have got some fruitcake in the kitchen that could serve as some humble pie, I suppose, because there's been heaps of praise leveled at Masters of the Universe. Many people calling it a good time and even a faithful adaptation of the cartoon series, and even citing the initial concerns about toxic masculinity as being overblown in the lead up to the film's release. From several reviewers I would generally trust, most seem to be calling it a good time. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but let's be honest, the cartoon could be pretty goofy as well. Well, regardless as to how fun the film may be, I haven't seen it, it's not having such a good time at the box office, unfortunately. As you can see here from Box Office Mojo, the film brought in just $29 million on its domestic opening weekend, and now it has a worldwide total of just $54.3 million. So yeah, that would constitute a box office flop at this stage. One can only speculate as to why this film didn't resonate with more people, but the people who did show up for it generally enjoyed the movie. Now, looking at the latest weekend numbers, that's June 5th to June 7th. Scary Movie, it's just called Scary Movie. It's not called Scary Movie 6, but we'll call it Scary Movie 6 to differentiate it from the first film. It's taken the top spot with a solid domestic opening of $55 million. That film wouldn't have a very big budget, so it'll generate profit quite quickly. Masters of the Universe is in second place, then Backrooms, which brought in $25.9 million domestically this weekend for a domestic total of $135 million and a worldwide total of $212.6 million. And it only had a budget of $10 million. Obsession had a budget of less than $1 million, and it's made another $25.6 million this weekend, $152 million domestically and $224.7 million worldwide. So well done to Obsession director Curry Barker and Backrooms director Kane Parsons, both YouTubers incidentally, and absolutely crushing it with their indie films at the box office and putting the big budget mainstream Hollywood films to shame this summer. In sixth place, you can see here The Mandalorian and Grogu has grossed another $10 million over the weekend, bringing its domestic total to $155 million and a worldwide total of $293.6 million. Despite it being a big franchise film, a Star Wars film no less, with a huge built-in audience and a massive budget, it's been overshadowed by lower budget projects. I'm left to ask, why? Why is this happening now? Might we be reading too much into this? Or is this a sign that franchise fatigue is real and yet another installment of a big, very popular franchise IP is just not something that's resonating with or interesting audiences as much these days? I mean, there is so much franchise content available in terms of the back catalogue of Star Wars, for example, just as there is a huge amount of Marvel content or Star Trek content and so forth. Audiences have plenty of that material available at their fingertips from the comfort of their couch on streaming and Blu-ray, etc. Movies and TV shows, plenty of them. While die-hard fans may treat every new installment in their favourite long-running pop culture franchise as being must-see in the cinema, general audiences may be willing to wait until it's available on-demand or general streaming. And I think audiences may simply want the cinema to be an experience, a memorable experience reserved for something new, something fresh and original. And you might say that Obsession and Backrooms are a bit overhyped. Sure, that's fine. It's inevitable, given how much of financial success stories both films are. But keep in mind, you can't blame critics and audiences for supporting an underdog story. It's only natural. I think some people are celebrating how effective the films are, how cost-effective they are, given their relative budgets. Also, let's not underestimate how big and influential YouTube viewership can be. Though I personally think both films are simply great examples of clever indie horror films, and also they both speak to the current zeitgeist in some way. Obsession is a dark, satirized commentary on modern dating anxieties, while Backrooms speaks to the dislocation and atomization and dehumanizing monotony of modern life, among other things. But both films have come along at the right time and really struck a chord with audiences. Whether you liked the movies or disliked them, they offered a very different and unique cinematic experience to the likes of big budget action films like The Mandalorian and Grogu and Masters of the Universe. Now, while the latter film might be a good time, let's be honest, Masters of the Universe effectively looks and sounds and feels like another MCU movie. Of course, it isn't, and there's nothing wrong with it looking like an MCU film necessarily, except audiences have seen plenty of those kinds of films over the past decade and a half. Again, whether Backrooms or Obsession are your cup of tea or not, I think it's a good thing that cinema-going audiences voted with their wallets and decided to take a chance on original indie movies rather than the well-worn path of generic action popcorn movies. But this weekend, sitting at the top of the pile is a franchise film, Scary Movie, and we haven't seen a Scary Movie film in a very long time, which is certainly helping the movie. It does serve as a comedic palate cleanser and a welcome bit of nostalgia for the zany, wacky spoof comedies of old. I think that's what people want at the moment, not just the old Scary Movie series that ran from 2000 to 2013, but the likes of Hot Shots, Airplane, and the Naked Gun series. This kind of film taps into nostalgia for all of those kind of movies. The spoof comedy genre is enjoying a revival of late, as we saw with last year's Naked Gun starring Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. So again, this Scary Movie 6 film has also come along at exactly the right time when audiences would be most receptive to it, which is why it's enjoying box office success. So yeah, I think timing was critical to the success of these films, and also I think it had a big factor in Masters of the Universe and The Mandalorian and Grogu. I think those films would have performed better at the box office had they been released a few years ago, perhaps 7 or 8 years ago. As it is now, both films are going to be box office failures. And that's what's happening right now at the box office. At least that's my 2 cents. But what do you guys think? What did I miss here? What did I get right? What did I get wrong? And of course, if you've recently watched any of these films, please let us know what you thought of them. Looking forward to your comments below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Computing Forever. Hit that notification bell to be notified of future updates on the channel. Hit that like button, share the video out there. Take care, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye-bye.